Morning, everyone. All right, please be seated. Okay, first off, I'd like to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the grand predecessor and predecessor, and transmitting masters for having this opportunity to share my Dao experience, right? From ignorance to awakening. Okay. Well, actually, we're all born ignorant, right? Even the Buddha was born ignorant. But he had an awakening, right? So we all do. Well, hopefully you do. All right. So yeah, everyone's experience is different. So it's not like, oh, you have to compare, with other people. It's a personal thing. So receiving the Tao and is, well, life, the journey of life, or whether it's cultivation, it's all going to be different for everyone for the most part, because we all have different karma, different affinity. But hopefully, we've heard from a lot of, the the younger people or other people who kind of shared their experience. But, so now it's kind of time to hear from people who've been in the Tao longer, to share some experience. So hopefully, it serve as inspiration or, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully it's an inspiration. All right. So basically, this first thing, I guess I'll talk about roughly in chronological order. All right. The first thing, late for my birth. Whoever is late for their birthday, right? This is kind of a little odd. I didn't find out about this until, I don't know, probably, well, within the last, I don't know, probably since the year 2000 or sometime, I forget. It was my grandmother who mentioned it to me. Otherwise, my mom didn't mention it. But basically, when I was born, I didn't breathe. I wasn't breathing. So it was, there was a problem. Apparently my grandmother said, the doctors they tried all sorts of stuff. They had to inject me with, I don't know, whatever, to try to get me to breathe. Eventually, I guess I did. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I don't know how long, right? Maybe I suffered brain damage. I don't know.
No, maybe the Buddha nature didn't enter your body.
Yeah, exactly. So my grandmother kind of half jokingly said, or maybe she wasn't joking, that, I didn't want to be born. Okay, so I realized, wow, it's a mistake to come to this world. You'll find out a little bit later. Okay, but okay, so that's kind of a little odd thing about my birth. But it might explain everything how I am today. Okay, but anyways, all right. So anyways, childhood is pretty normal for the most part. Actually, I want to say that I am very grateful, very fortunate to have been born into a family that's, well, I guess the first person in my family who probably received the Tao is my mother, and then my two older brothers, and then me, and then my father. Okay, so, but I received Tao, I don't know, probably when I was only like a few months old. Okay, so I can't do a comparison of before and after, since I don't know what happened. Just aside from the birth, there's no real can't really compare. My life changing. So my whole life has been in the Tao for the most part. Now, so when I was young, maybe we lived in Okinawa. Okay, Okinawa is, you may or may not know, it's an island between Taiwan and Japan. It's part of Japan, actually. We lived there for like 10 years. Well, there are like typhoons every year, right? Typhoons, like we get hurricanes here, they get typhoons every year. So one day, maybe I was about, I don't remember exactly, maybe 10 years old, or roughly, 8 to 10 years old, or something like that, 10 years old, let's say. So I used to like to go out to the sea. It's a small island, we lived near the shore. I used to go out, there's like a seawall. You can go out to the seawall, and then if it's low tide, you can go out, there's like tide pool, okay? So that day, it was right after typhoon, okay? And so I went out with a friend. We went out to the shore. It was low tide, so we went out into the tide pool, and then sat at the very edge, where the water was, the sea. And then we were just talking. And of course, we didn't realize, the surf, big surf, whatever. And suddenly, after we were talking for a while, then a big wave came. All right, so big wave came and it knocked us back. Actually, it knocked us. We start tumbling backwards on the tide pool. Okay, and unfortunately, in the tide pool, there are all sorts of like sea urchins, lots of sea urchins. You know what those are, right? Sea urchins, and so it was painful. Got stuck by all those sea urchin, their needles or whatever they call those. Yeah, my hands, feet, butt. Yeah, because we were at when the wave hit, we start tumbling, and so we kind of picked ourselves up, and as we're now that day we didn't see, there was no one out there. Okay, no one. We didn't see anyone. As we started to decide, we'll walk back home. So we're still out in the tide pool. We walk back, and suddenly this person appears. And says, "Oh, you shouldn't be out here. It's dangerous." Okay. Now he just appeared. I don't know where he came from, and he was walking towards the sea. Okay. And of course, we didn't. I was just a kid, and we went home. Now, this is just one incident that I can remember from my childhood. And why did it stick in my memory? Because maybe about 5 years ago, I had a realization. I don't know, for some reason, it's like, who was this person? Where did he come from? Because that day we saw no one. There was no one out there. And so then I realized that it was like a saint or a Buddha who appeared to either he saved our lives, because we could have been washed out to sea, or it's just warning us. But either case is kind of like a I don't know, if you want to call it a divine intervention or something like that. But the Buddha or saint that appeared. Okay, so that's one interesting thing. Okay, so anyways, that's one little story. Now, later on, okay, so now when I was a kid, unfortunately, I wasn't born vegetarian. I wish I was. My mom, cooked all sorts of nasty stuff for me, including pig brain and all sorts of stuff, I had to eat. Of course, back then, I didn't know not to eat it, but I did have an experience once. We lived near, there was a slaughterhouse. It's not like the big slaughterhouse that you see here today, but, it's small. I remember walking by it one day, and there's like there's a pig with an axe in its belly, and it's screaming. And it's like, that kind of seared in my memory. It's like, but unfortunately, that still didn't make me think to not want to to necessarily eat meat. But anyways, I wish I was vegetarian from the beginning. Because why? Because we create karma. Okay, so paying back some karma. Actually, back then we ate a lot of seafood. Like I liked to eat crab back then. Okay, crab meat. Now, okay, so after Okinawa, then we moved to the States. The first time I tried eating crab in the States, I had an allergic reaction. Okay, so then we know, I can't eat that anymore. But then also when we came to the States, I had developed some kind of, I don't know, it's like I want to say it's like an athlete's foot type of, condition. It was very severe, actually, in the very beginning. And, okay, so that actually lasted for 40 years, okay? So it's not your normal, typical athlete's foot, okay? So it lasted 40 years. The condition gradually got better over the years, but, lasted 40 years. A few years ago, I guess, it kind of ended. And, before it ended, I had this, this just something popped up in my mind saying that it's coming to an end. And that I knew that it was a karma. It was something that I had paying back some karma. And I thought, this is going to end soon. And sure enough, a few months later, it ended. Okay. and so I'm free from that. But I at least I think it was all that seafood that I was eating. Now I'm not saying that it paid back all the karmic debts from that, but it had something to do with that. I just have this intuition that that's what it was. Okay, so yeah, I mean we all have karma that we have to pay back, right? And so this is especially once we receive the Tao, we cultivate. We're gonna because it's so special that once we receive the Tao, we can attain, transcend this life and death cycle that we have to pay off all our debts. Okay, so that's why, whether it's from past lives or this life, that's why we encourage people. That's why I said, I wish I was a vegetarian, then I wouldn't have to pay back that debt. There wouldn't be any debt there. So, but anyways, all right. So that's another story. Okay, this next thing. Okay, so I wasn't really always into the Tao or anything. I mean, even though my family, right, we had a family temple. I don't really remember doing much in terms of the Tao until that came after college, actually. But this next thing was in college, an incident that happened in college. Basically, well, I don't know if anyone has actually been truly selfless for any time of period. What I mean is that, there's like no me, no I, no, you're completely, it's like it's doing something that's completely selfless. Okay, so what happened was, it was a St. Patrick's Day in college. We were, I was at a party, okay. So there were some green drinks. Okay, I may have had a few drinks. But there's this other fellow student.
Kale.
What?
Could be kale drink.
Kale? No. Kale. No, they had a green food coloring. Yeah, of course. I mean, you're college. Come on.
College and alcohol is the same thing.
Yeah, they go together.
You mean in those days?
In those days, yeah. Right. So, but anyways, this other guy. I mean, I knew him. We weren't friends. He was a friend of a friend. Okay. Now he had too much to drink, and so now what happened was, well, apparently he had some trouble. He was married actually, and he had a wife and kid, but he has some troubles in family. So what happens when people drink? They try to drown their worries and sorrows or whatever. And so, but he got whatever upset, and so he kind of ran out. And I was going to go. I decided to go after him because I was afraid he might hurt himself or hurt other people. At first, the other people said, "Oh, just let him go," but I said, "I can't do that." So even though he was my friend, so can say it's a selfless act. Okay, so I went after him. Now he's like a 250-pound wrestler. Okay, he was a New York State wrestling champ. Okay, so and I'm a little guy, a twig. Okay, so he could have like broken me in half, right? So I went out. We were in the street, and and then another guy actually came to help, and he grabbed the other guy in a headlock, because we were trying to convince him to kind of calm down and go back, and he grabbed the other guy in a headlock, and so I said, let him go, I'm pleading with him to let him go, so he finally does, and he would only let him go if that guy kind of would leave him alone. Okay, so he agreed. He let him go, and actually, okay, because he had too much to drink, he vomited. Okay, so now normally I'm very, kind of clean. I mean, I don't like touching things that get my hands, like dirty like that. But he vomited. I used my hand to wipe off his chin. I didn't even think at all. I wouldn't, think about it at all. Okay, so again, selfless. Okay, so I just did that. And okay, so the other guy left. Now this person who's drunk, his friend, he's across the street. He's watching. He didn't want to come near because he knew what this guy's very strong. But still, it didn't bother me. I said, okay, let's go. Go to. Basically, we both worked in the computer center, and then so we went going to the office for him to sleep it off. I said, okay, let's go this way. Now but he wanted to go the other way, and it's interesting because as we're walking, then this person, stranger, just walking by, said, "Yeah, listen to him. Listen to me." Basically, he told him. And he just like, huh? And he said, okay. So he just followed me to go back to the office. Now, that's interesting because I think that, how, they say God works in mysterious ways, right? So I think heaven, the Buddhas, whoever, kind of used that person to say something to kind of make that person, the guy to follow me, all right? So, I mean, if we're doing something, I was, doing something very selfless to try to help him, so heaven will help. So it's kind of a reciprocity, kind of a response from heaven. So that's very interesting. And then so later on, he after he slept it off, he sobered up, and then he wrote an email to us and say, oh, you guys went beyond the Call of Duty, etc. But anyways, that was, I can only say that was the only time that I was truly selfless. I mean, there's no other times that I've really been truly selfless. But, maybe because maybe I had a few drinks, so I lowered my inhibition. And so I was truly selfless. But, at least I can say, oh, I know, this is really the way of the Bodhisattva, the way of the Buddha is like that. Okay, so if you look at Jesus, truly selfless. So that's really the way that we want to learn to be like that. Okay, so no self, no ego. All right. Okay, so that's just another story. Now, okay, so why am I here? Experiencing the vicissitudes of life. Nah, that's a big word, but it means the ups and downs of life. Okay, so basically, I mean, normal, pretty much, I guess you can say, kind of normal life. But, I pursued all the things, as a student or whatever, and then later on at graduation, one of the experiences I had was that emotions, I couldn't control my emotions. It really got the better of me. And and so, that was a cause of a lot of suffering for me. I almost went into depression and almost decided to kill myself over that. Okay, so I'm not going to go into details, but after a few times of encounter, these kind of setbacks, if you will, okay, I decided one day that, hey, this must be heaven's will. It's not meant to be. Okay, so at least I had kind of that realization then to stop pursuing that and then just change my life. Okay, so that's, and then the other things is, I've had ups and downs, right? So of course, I was pretty successful in my job, career, you can say, working in Silicon Valley, high tech, so get paid well. Of course, I was never really that, I wouldn't say I was really that filial because I never, since this was after college, I just moved to California to work. I really rarely came back and visited. But once I settled down, I kind of established myself, I did send money back to my parents. Okay, so that's at least the least we can do. Okay, but I've tried all sorts of things. Pretty much you name it, I've done it. But nothing really. I mean, even though at the time, it's like, oh, it's pretty exciting to try some stuff. Whether it's scuba diving or what is it?
Skydiving.
Skydiving. I've tried all those things. Okay, so I mean,
Were you
it's
scared?
No. I thought it would be scary to look down at the ground from way up there, but it's just so far away. It's like it's kind of weird. It's
Feel what the birds feel.
the birds. But anyways, yeah, I've done all sorts of things, different activities. So yeah, you can say trying, I don't know, enjoying life maybe. But there are a lot of things I didn't really have like these strong attachments to things. It's funny because okay, so when I bought a house, and I need to get furniture, right? So it's pretty much everything I bought was my friend telling me I should get this. so like oh, you should get this nice Italian furniture. It's very expensive. It's like so okay, all right, buy it. You should get a pool table. Okay, buy a pool table. All these things. It's like I didn't really need it or want it, but yeah. Well, it's kind of weird too. This friend, he had tinnitus. I don't know.
Is that why you got it too?
Yeah, it's interesting
Really?
because one day we're talking about it, and we talked about his tinnitus, and then I don't know, for some reason the next day, then I woke up with tinnitus. It's like I know it's not you can't get it like that, but I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm too receptive. It's like I don't know whether it's like a sympathetic or empathetic response, but I got it and I've had it since then. So I've had it for I don't know, probably 20, 30 years. I mean, so it hasn't gone away. Yeah, initially it was very tough. But actually, during that time when I was there, I had trouble sleeping for various reasons. That was one of it. Okay. But anyways, yeah, the other reason is I always had this kind of in my mind. Sometimes I would worry about, I don't know, just what's happening in the world. Okay, it's like it's like why all these bad things happening, etc. I would think about those things, and that would usually that happens at night, and then so I don't sleep. And for some reason, I always think about Jesus. Wow, why did he made such a great sacrifice? And then I think about all the world. Okay, so and then somewhere along the line during those years, I had this feeling that I said, oh yeah, I just start thinking, it's like I don't seem to belong here. Okay, I don't belong in this world. It's like, or if I'm here to observe. Okay, observe what observe the human condition, observe what life is. Basically, just like Buddha trying to find the true meaning of life. Okay, and one day I had this very intense homesick feeling, right? This ache in the heart, but it wasn't like wanting to come back to New Jersey, home here. It was a different home. Okay, so it was not in this world. I had a very intense feeling. It happened once only, but I just felt so during all these years over there. I felt there was something different. I seem to have a special purpose here. Okay. Okay, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, since college, okay, going to California, started working. I never really left the Tao completely. Okay, so I mean, I always had an interest in the Tao. Now, of course, back then I couldn't read any Chinese, and today I still can't. It's hard for me to read Chinese. So I would, weekends I go out to the bookstore, look for books on Tao. Can't really find many. I mean, there aren't really any. So I read some books like The Zen of Motorcycle Maintenance, The Tao of Pooh, all these, anything that might be related. And those are interesting because they talk about Tao philosophy, which is good. But, I always had that latent interest in the Tao. So never really left the Tao. And one day, let's see. Oh, okay. So one day, I visited my aunt in Oklahoma, and she had a book which is the Sixth Patriarch Platform Sutra. Okay, that was in English. It was translation. So I started reading that. It was the first time I read it. So when it's actually, I recommend that you read that, because it's, for one, it's not like the other sutras in the sense that, because this is more like it's told like a story, kind of like a story. Okay, so it's an easy read, although you may not understand a lot of the principles that are talked in there, but it's kind of makes for good reading. But when I read up to this, right, you're all familiar with this passage, this poem, right? There is no Bodhi tree nor stand of a mirror bright, since all is void, originally work in the dust of light. Because this is Hui Neng, Sixth Patriarch, his response to Sun Shu's poem, okay, that the fifth patriarch was looking for, an answer, or, something that his successor, right? So asked to have them write a poem to describe what the Buddha nature is like. So when I read this, something clicked in me. It's like, wow, this is it. I could identify with this. It's like, basically, okay, so people would remark that, why is my house so clean? Okay, and I couldn't really explain it. I mean, it's not because necessarily that I want to keep the place clean. I like clean. It's really because of this. It's to say this is the reason why. We are originally that way. We're originally pure. Why do we make things dirty? This is the way it should be. Okay, so this kind of, to me, is like, oh yeah, that's how it is. Okay, so I wouldn't call this necessarily an awakening for me, but it is kind of part of that process. Okay, all right. Now, okay, then I guess it was maybe that. I'm not sure if that came before or after, but anyways. I kept having this in the back of my mind, thinking, I came from somewhere else. Okay, I'm an alien, extraterrestrial. Okay, so finally got confirmation. Okay, of that. Okay, now back then of course we attended Dharma classes and right. The first time I attended Dharma classes was 1990, I believe. Right. You remember we went to Taiwan.
Yeah.
You accompanied me. It was 1990, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I attended a Dharma class there. It was in Chongde's. I don't know if it's in, I don't know what temple, but.
I don't remember.
It was in Chinese?
Yeah.
You understood it?
No. It was.
Did you translate?
No, at that time I was sitting in the back video.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a 3-day Dharma class, and there were like, I don't know, 300 class members. I mean, they were mostly students. Okay, now the way they arranged the Dharma class people's seating is that they range by seniority in terms of like how long you've received the Tao, or what your education level is. So they put me up in the front row. Now, of course, the only thing I remember, I don't remember anything about the classes from the Dharma class. The only thing I remember is when the Buddha channeled. Okay, so I remember Guanyin Bodhisattva channeled, and because they had, I guess, 3 of the mediums, so Guanyin Bodhisattva channel along with 2 the angels by her side. Okay, all right. That was, I don't know, first day or whatever, and then the next day, Jigong Living Buddha channeled in. Okay. Now, well, okay, so Guanyin Bodhisattva, she said that, in this class, there are many who have affinity with her, okay? And then the next day, Jigong Buddha came, and now he, okay, so he he's talking, and then, so he also came to me. Now, I'm sitting in the front row, okay? And so, basically, he came up to me, and basically, I'm sitting there, and he put his foot up on my leg, right? And then he's scratching his leg. He's like this, like if you've seen the TV series that they do in China, of Qigong, it's just exactly the same, okay? And so he kind of mercifully said, "Oh, okay. So you don't really know Chinese, but you can,你慢慢学. So you learn it, learn it gradually." And I forgot if if he said anything. Whatever he might have said, but that's what I remember. Now again, at the time, I didn't really. Because I hadn't really been too involved. I think up to that point, I wasn't really involved in gone to the temple much or whatever. But so it didn't. There was no, I didn't think of anything. But it's only again recently, in the last few years, that I had a realization that I remember my impression is that it was Jigong Buddha appeared to me. Okay, not the holy medium. Okay, so. What I remember is, it was Jigong Buddha in person who was there. Okay, so normally it's you see it's a girl. It's a holy medium, but she's just wearing the hat and the robe. But what I saw was Jigong Buddha. Okay, so interesting. Now, okay, so that's one thing. Now, so later on, 1999. Okay, so I still have these thoughts that there's something different about me. And now I was always afraid to, afraid to have the Buddhas talk to me. Okay, I get very nervous. Okay, so I would try to avoid that. But so this one time, 1999, there was a staff class. It was in California, Dutton Temple. Actually, senior transmitter Cui was there. And at the time, it was Lecturer Zheng. Okay, he was there. But, okay, so they had the class, and who channeled? It was this one here, the Golden Child. The boy next to the little angel, male angel, I guess, next to Guanyin Bodhisattva. Okay, so it was a Xiao Jingtong. Okay, so he channeled. And so he's talking stuff. And, he talked to a few class members, and, I'm sitting in the back row, and, because this, I was a little nervous. And so eventually, near the end, before he's leaving, he started walking towards the back, and my heart's starting to pound more, getting really nervous, and sure enough, he starts talking to her. And what he said was this, okay, so you see your entire family are cultivating Tao, okay? This is due to your good karma. Now, why did you be born? Why were you born into this family? So he says, you chose it, okay? That, we played together, we were playmates in heaven, okay? And you wanted to choose this family because you didn't want to get lost in this world. Okay, so choose a Tao family. Of course that makes sense. And so now I thought I remember him saying that you made a vow and don't forget your vow. But I think I got confused with another thing. But anyways, so that's what he said. And so when he said that, I was just overwhelmed with emotion. I just couldn't. It was like the confirmation of what I suspected, that I came from heaven, whatever, and so I was in tears, and he offered me his towel to wipe the tears, and so it's very very emotional thing for me. But it's like finally the last piece was put into place that I knew, and then so since that point. I kind of knew what my purpose was, okay? So I knew what I was here to do. Now, before I get to that, then also, okay, so besides that, and then the next year, in 2000, I came back to New York for, I guess it was for a Dharma class. We had a Dharma class. But before the Dharma, or it was either before or after the Dharma class, there was a reunion with our predecessor, okay? I don't think you were there because it took place at night. Transmitter Jim was there, Ray was there, and so the predecessor, he's very merciful. He's always, going to encourage us. And, so we each, now this is, you probably have never been in one of these reunions where they actually talk to each individual person. We've had a reunion here where it's kind of like just announcing, what their position or whatever is in heaven. But this one, he talked to each individual person. It's through his handwriting, okay. And so I went up there. I was nervous. I was afraid what he might say to me. But he says, so many years have passed since we last met. I wonder if you remembered it all. Okay. Do not be nervous. Relax your mind. So the Buddhists they know what's in our mind. Says listen to Grandpa's good words. Now he kind of treated me as kind of a grandson. He's like a grandfather to me. And so in the past, I see you as a child. Now you have matured and made a great determination shooting up to the sky. Don't ever forget the vows you have made. Okay, so I kind of remembered someone said that. So he's the one he said that. So do your best to create and make your goal come true. Okay, so encouraging words for me, kind of to, basically when we make vows, heaven will help us, try to encourage us and to fulfill our vows. I mean, they want to see us succeed. So, especially our predecessor, he's very, very, definitely very merciful. Okay. So obviously I've met him, or he's seen me as a child. I don't know if he was my transmitter or not. I don't know. Back then I have no idea who.
I don't know.
But anyways, so yeah, I don't know. I always felt that I was close to him, that I had some connection, affinity with him. Given that I know that, I probably made some vows to come, I kind of feel that it's partly because of him that I came. Because because the suffering, if you hear the stories, the suffering that he's been through, I felt that, I want to help. So anyways, that's just one of the stories. Okay, so anyways, I had this renewed sense of purpose. I was still back in California, and I started writing. Okay, so I knew I need to try to enlighten people, and so I started writing about the Tao. In my understanding, through my own understanding. Started writing articles. I would email them to my friends and who I knew. What's interesting is back then, I was an engineer, right? An engineer. So I kind of kept my own hours, right? So I got up late. But during that time, what's interesting is that around 5 in the morning, suddenly it's like I would get this rush of knowledge or whatever, ideas in my mind, my head, okay? And it's like someone opened up my head and just poured it in. And, when that happened, it's like I couldn't sleep, of course. So I would get up and I start writing. Okay, so this happened while I was writing all those articles. So that's very interesting. Like in Chinese, we say the Shenfu Jialing. Okay, so I think that it was kind of like that, where they kind of give you wisdom or whatever to help, to enhance your wisdom, whatever. So that's what happened. So that's during those years, that's what I did. Now, when I came back to New York, so I finally moved back. Now that's also in 2002. Yeah, in the spring of 2002, I moved back. Now, in 2001, right, there was in 2001,
9/11.
yeah, that was 9/11, okay. But basically, now, my mom at the time, she was at Tongde Temple. I don't know if Johnny's ever been there. No, okay.
Yes, you have.
Not Parson, Nagundo.
Yes,
The
you
house-
have. You
the house
attended
on-
the staff class there. That's where you became a staff member.
Oh, really?
Yes, you
Forget.
have.
Oh, okay. But anyways, so my mom, she's the resident transmitter there, and but had been a lot of other like lectures and times that they lived there first, but then they moved out, like they were going to North Carolina or whatever, right? So 2001, she was kind of alone there, but she had like a helper that would come, kind of like a nurse aide or something.
Like a home.
Whatever you call
Home
those,
aide.
home aide. But then, so when I visited in 2001, I found out that this home aide was going to go back to China, so that she wouldn't have anyone there to help her. So at that point, actually, I had already quit my job, and I got into day trading. Okay, so yeah, that's another story. Day trading. Okay, so I thought, I thought I'm not a gambler, but but when you get into day trading stocks, yeah, that's really gambling. Okay, so it's
Legalized.
it's gambling by any other name. Okay, so
You always buy bigger and powerful.
what?
You always buy bigger and powerful. Mega and powerful.
Mega and powerful.
Oh, lottery? No, I never buy lottery. Okay, so but anyways, yeah, to me it was so. Oh yeah, so part of the ups and downs in life, right? I've made a lot of money, but then I lost it all too. So I've been up and I've been down, right? So but in the end, I see through it all. It's like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. I mean, easy come, easy go, right? So in the end, we can't take any of it with us anyways. And so as long as I can eke out a living, it's okay. So anyways, that's yeah. But let's see. So I quit my job. Then I decided, okay, I need to come back. Now, partly, yeah, it's maybe I had some feelings about, oh, I need to be filial. Okay, so because I really need to perform some filial duty. So I did move back in the spring of 2002, and I think that was kind of like, heaven gives us an opportunity. And we need to make sure that we see that as an opportunity to progress, to improve, do something that maybe we've neglected or whatever. And so I made the right choice to come back, because then later that year my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Okay, so I felt that that was a good thing. So I feel grateful that heaven gave me that opportunity, to have that happen so that I can come back. And so, of course, that's a whole thing there. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So, before I continue with that, let me just say this sense of purpose. Okay, so remember, every Chinese New Year, we have the red envelopes, right? So I already kind of had the idea that, I'm here to try to enlighten people. And so I at Tongde, right, this is still at Tongde Temple, I picked out this red envelope, right? It says, 开导无量众, and then 光明照十方. Okay, so basically enlighten the countless sentient beings, countless masses, and illuminating all directions. Okay, so this is actually basically the first of the 4 Bodhisattva vows. Okay, it's the first vow. Basically, you have countless sentient beings that I'm going to try to save them. Okay, so yeah, it's basically that. So that kind of confirmed my feeling about, well, what my purpose is too. So another confirmation for me. So this, each time, as long as we have that sincerity, that will, that determination to want to go down this path, heaven will give opportunities and will kind of confirm and help us to increase our faith and conviction. Okay, all right. So the power of sincerity, right? So again, okay, the chance to do the right thing, again, that's coming about home. Okay, so my mother, okay, so she got cancer, and so she started undergoing treatment, chemo, right, at first, starting chemo. But anyway, so once she's had this, then I started praying every day, okay? So every day, I would do the bows, 1,000 bows in the morning, 1,000 in the evening, praying to God, to any Buddha who would listen, to, try to say, please help my mother, let her, let this cancer be cured or whatever. After months of this, I decided that this is not. It's not doing anything. My prayers are going unanswered. Okay, so but then I realized that okay, we can't just request Buddhas or heaven to help without me doing anything. So remember, everything is heaven responds to us. Okay, so yeah, even though I have a sincerity, but I have to show that sincerity by doing something, right?
Donation.
Yeah, whatever. It could be donation, it could be all sorts of things. Okay, so I decided, okay, what I'm going to say is, all right, so, okay, maybe she can't be cured, but at least let it not be not uncomfortable for her. Okay, so during this, while she's getting treatments. And so that's what I prayed for. And I said, okay, what I'll give in turn, actually, I'll take on half of that, half of her pain. And so, okay, now, while she was still alive, it didn't happen. Nothing happened, okay, but it was painless pretty much for her during that time until the end, okay. And it was after when we were building this temple, okay. So basically, we were in a rush to get it done. It was in 2004, right? The next day, actually, we're going to have a class here, the first time using the temple. So we're rushed trying to get things done. I put up a ladder and I climbed up there I was doing something, I don't know, pulling wires or something, and well, I wasn't careful, and the ladder slipped, and I fell, right? So I fell, and basically my arms, I hurt my arms. Now, luckily, none of the bones broke, but I had to see this doctor. There's a Chinese doctor who kind of does like bone specialist, whatever. But they it's like 20 type of thing. Okay, so and basically there was probably like some blood inside. Okay, hemorrhage in the elbow area, and so my arm was getting stiff. So he was like doing all sorts of things to squeezing it to kind of break up that thing, and it was like the most painful thing I ever experienced. I mean, I couldn't even breathe while that happened. He says, yeah, you can feel free to scream. I couldn't even breathe. And it was so painful. So then I realized that, this is the payback. This is the thing that, I was asking for. Okay, so eventually it's going to come to me. And so I accepted that. A lot of things, of course, especially when we vow, whatever, we have to accept what comes to us. But even karma, we really need to learn to accept it, okay? The more we can accept it, the easier it is for us to get through it, okay? All right, so that's one thing. So the lesson here is that, we need, yes, we always pray to help people, but then we have to show it and actually do something, perform merits or, whatever, okay? We have to offset, because heaven... they can't help unless we do something, right? To basically use that to kind of offset whatever karma or whatever it is, right? Another thing is this longevity Buddha. Okay, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people haven't met this longevity Buddha, the South Pole longevity Buddha. But he's very merciful. I mean, he's like, well, he's probably, I don't know if he's not the oldest Buddha, but he's very old. Okay, so
he's very senior.
Yeah, okay, a senior. And so, but he's very merciful, and seemed like he's always. I feel like he's always looking after me, and so that one year, we had. Remember, we took the road trip to the Dharma classes, right? So it's the first time I think it's the first time. Yeah, they had Dharma class in Iowa, and California. Okay, so we took a road trip. Now, during that road trip, my back, I don't know what happened to my back. I mean, I couldn't bend my back. It was hurt. Now, I didn't complain. I don't think I was asking Buddhas for help or anything. It's just, okay, so that was the way it is. So when we got to, in Iowa, Jigong Buddha channeled and spoke to me directly and says, 我心很疼. Okay, so basically he's feels, I don't know, how do you...
My heart broken, heartbroken.
Yeah, you felt kind of heartbroken about me.
Well, I have some illness in my heart.
Yeah. So, thank you. But basically, yeah. So Jigong Buddha, he knew what I was going through, and then so when we get to California, the Longevity Buddha channeled. Now, it was interesting. The Longevity Buddha, right? He walks around with a cane like this, right? And so he asked me and Yang Sheng, which is another Dao Kin, to walk around with a cane like this. Okay, so walked a few times around. Now, I didn't think of anything of it, so I said, okay, so we do that. And then afterwards, I realized, hey, my back doesn't hurt anymore, and I can bend my back. And so the Buddha helped fix my back, okay? So again, this is all due to, it's not because I asked, but it's due to our sincerity, okay? That true sincerity. Now, in faith in this Tao, okay? So again, that will happen. That's kind of a you can say that reciprocity, that response from heaven. So again, everything is up to us. If we have that sincerity, that that will move heaven, right? Okay. So basically, yeah. So where is this Buddha? The Buddha is really, it's within us. I mean, so as long as we are thinking the right thoughts, always, trying to be selfless, trying to have consideration for others, then the Buddha is in our heart and mind. Okay, so they're there with us. I don't know, it's a few years ago, we went to Ohio we were propagating Tao, whatever, and then so we went to this church. This church, it's not your typical Christian church. It's a spiritual healing. They do spiritual healing there. Okay, but they still use the Bible and all that. So they're based Christianity. But okay, so originally I was supposed to be invited to or one of the members. She's a Tao Kin, like Lana, right? So she arranged to have me give a talk about Tao there. Okay, about Tao to those people. And but then when we got there, it's like it seemed like they changed things, but anyways, eventually, they gave me like a few minutes to talk a little bit about Tao. So I did. I stood up and talked, and then I sat down, and then I didn't know, but in their service, they have this thing called messages. Okay, as part of doing their service. Those people, a lot of those people, they practice. I don't know what they do, some kind of thing where they can actually they get like visions or something. Okay, communication with the spiritual world. Okay, so during this part of their service, they would get up and say, "Oh, I have a message. I have a message for you," and and they would say what they got through that. And so after I spoke, then this woman got up and said, well, first of all, she had also already received the Tao, but she never came back to the temple. And then she said, oh, I have a message. She has a message for me. Says, oh, when you were talking, I saw there was a light around you. Okay, so it's like a halo, whatever. Okay, maybe she saw Jigong Buddha's halo, but anyways, that who was behind me. But anyways, no, she saw this light. Okay. Another guy who apparently he rarely goes to the church, okay, but he showed up that day, and he said, oh, what he saw was a Buddha. I don't know. He's saying some Buddha giving me a lotus flower, okay, and that kind of, and I don't know, he said something about, oh, it's for something I did a few months prior, but I couldn't think of it, but anyways, so and then another person said, pointing, and Kai was there, Electric Kai was also there, that okay, so I think there's someone close to you who maybe is lost, and then so we thought, okay, it's our mother, so she's like, it's the way she described it is that, oh, it's like when we take we go to school, right? We have the test, whatever, and you put like a gold star, whatever, on there to show that you did well. And so that's what she was doing, right? And so, okay, very interesting. But anyways, and then there are a few others. Usually, a lot of their messages are pretty mundane stuff for most people. It's like, oh, it looks like you see baggage. It looks like you're going to be traveling or whatever. I mean, but these were a little bit different, especially the guy talking about the Buddha. So I'm sure he never said that before. So after that, I thought we need to get this guy to receive the Tao. Okay, so yeah, eventually he did come receive the Tao, which is another story because he can see things, right? He sees things. So when he received the Tao, there's a little side story. In the temple, there are two drawings, right? One of the two guardians, okay, two of the guardians, and he saw them animated, and they were talking to each other, whatever. But anyways, unfortunately, I don't know, he has kind of like disappeared and hasn't come back to the temple. But in any case, that's it. So anyways, there's actually when we are out or anywhere, even here, right? We're talking about the Tao. This is the Buddha, they will be with us, okay, and helping us when we're doing that, okay. So don't be afraid to talk about the Tao anywhere, okay. So that's that. Let's see. Do I have any other thing? Oh, okay. So maybe that is the last thing. Okay. So, so basically, my life story isn't that all that interesting, but there were some experiences that certainly further, increased my faith and conviction in the Tao. I know it's true. Again, I always say that the Tao must be experienced. Okay, you have to experience it yourself, and it's just like water. I can try to describe water, the taste of water to you, but unless you drink it yourself, you're not going to know. Okay, so the same thing with the Tao. So that's why to experience it, though, we need to have that will to go forward down this path and to have that sincerity, and also really if we make vows and to actually perform, to perform the merits, to cultivate, nurture our virtues, then the more we'll get out of it, the more we will realize what this Tao is. Because it's beyond the knowledge. Okay, so you hear a lot about Tao, but you still don't know what it is until you experience it. So that's really the thing I can say for everyone. All right. Okay, so I guess the time's up. So if I had said anything wrong, I asked the Buddhas for forgiveness, and you probably don't have corrections, but anyway, I thank you.